Hi, and welcome back to another monthly market update for your Columbus, Ohio real estate market. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and thanks for joining again today. Just wanted to give you an update on what's going on in the Columbus, Ohio real estate market here. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible today because not a ton has changed over the last few months, which has been a little bit of a surprise to me, actually. I'm going to share my screen here so you can see what's going on. All right. These are the numbers that the Columbus, Ohio board puts out every month, and it's usually about a month behind. So you can see the data as it comes out as we're looking at here. And if you've been following along on these, I've talked about how we're starting to see maybe a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit of a kind of leveling out in a sense, the market. But we're seeing the numbers really haven't changed over the last few months. So maybe we're just kind of seeing a little bit more, things that are not quite as crazy, but we're still seeing a very hot, market where things are very quickly going in contract quick, but also still going for, over asking price in many cases. And in fact, in most cases here in Columbus still. So at least in the month of August. Now, again, we're a month behind. So this last month, we're still feeling that a little bit. So, next September, next month, we may see in September that the numbers are a little bit not quite as, what I would say, as hot, I guess you can say. I hate that term because I'm not quite sure what that really means to everyone. But we hear about that all the time, a hot market. But yeah, still a seller's market out there if you're interested. But at the same time, I've been finding there's still opportunity for buyers right now. So a few things I want to point out too is we're still seeing more houses closed, as you see here. And I'll list this, and if you want to get this in an inbox, just email or send me your email. And I'm happy to email you this as well. Everything's pretty much up and to the right still for August compared to last August. So this box is August 21 to 20, from comparing to 2020 month, year over year. And this is the year to date. So pretty much, from last August to this August, essentially. So we're seeing, again, still seeing things up to the right, still seeing the average price point 10% higher than last year, median price point 13. The things I wanted to really focus on this month were the days on market. I wanted to see if those actually went down from the last few months. So days on market, is still 11, which is very low. And if we look back, I got the other months pulled up here. This is July. July was also 11. Going back to June was also 11. So we're really not seeing any taper off. May was actually 14. So actually going back into the spring, May was 14, April was 16. So things are actually, here back in August, things are actually selling faster, according to the data that the MLS puts out. Now than it was back in the spring, which is kind of crazy to think about because when we heard of the spring market, things were selling, very fast and like crazy. But we're actually seeing things on average as a whole sell for faster according to this data. Another thing I wanted to see is what, were people getting more than the list price? Were things going for higher or for, we're finding things finally going under list price, but we're seeing, as a whole, things are still, actually, this is the percentage received from original list price is still over 100%, which means that not every house is seeing this, but we're seeing houses that are getting way, still well over asking, and we're still seeing houses that aren't getting it, but we're still seeing many houses are getting well over asking. And again, going back, comparing this number, very similar to July. I'm just going to skip back to April here. April was still higher, and I think June was higher, yeah, but not, not a ton. 104 compared to 102, 3, yeah. So not a significant difference there. So we're still seeing things over asking here as well. So those are the things I really wanted to focus on this month as the data come out. The last thing I wanted to focus on was the month supply. We are seeing a little bit more supply, very little more. So it's still very much a market where we need more supply. Still, the buyers out there, still plenty of buyers out there compared to how many houses for sale. Again, going back to April, it was much lower in April and then in January, going back to January, even it was almost 0.5, a half a month, which basically means how long it would take if no new listings hit the market, how long it would take for all those listings to go in contract would be a half a month, which is just kind of crazy. So we got about a month and and 1.1 there, before that. So it's a little better. It's actually higher than last year, which, remember this time last year was right during the pandemic, kind of the height, a few months in from the pandemic. So where things really started taking off and people really were not listing houses then, but we still have plenty of buyers. So, so we're still seeing about right where we were last year on that. So just some useful information to take with you. And one thing to keep in mind, as you saw here, I do want to, one last thing on this is that the average price is actually lower this time of year than in the spring. Let's go back here. So then in May, the height of the spring in May. So May's 315 is the average price point. Now in August we have 308, but that's because we see a natural dip. As you see here, we kind of see a natural cycle and dips in the market throughout the year. There's also, so there's a yearly cycle. There's a lot of cycles that happen in real estate. One of the main things is a pretty normal yearly cycle. You saw 2020 actually had a little bit of a anomaly when it came to this cycle. It kind of actually tapered off a little bit more, but you can go back a few years where it goes up and down. In the fall starts to dip a little bit. So we're seeing that normalization still in this market. The last thing I want to kind of touch on today is another data point I wanted to share with you is another program here. It's called FHFA.gov actually puts out some numbers quarterly, and they show some really neat stuff quarterly for us, and some things. Let me move this out of the way. Some things to really kind of see here. It actually ranks all the major metropolitan areas in the U.S. and Columbus is actually ranked 60th this year over the last year, which is kind of surprising. But so many metropolitans have had such a crazy year. When it's 60, we're talking a couple percentages here and there from the highest to the lowest. Boise, Idaho. I don't know if you're in the loop. Boise. The Boise, Idaho area has actually been the hottest market in the last year, which they've had like 40% appreciation year over year in 1 year, which is just ridiculous and kind of unsustainable. But a lot of people from California are moving to the Boise, Idaho state area to kind of get away from the California prices and policies and things like that too, for whatever reason. But that area is just exploding. So 16.5 is still a very high appreciation rate for any year. And you can kind of see these are the big numbers here. You kind of see again from 2017, you see how we're climbing pretty quick here. The thing I really wanted to focus on is the quarter. They put out this quarterly, and we see the quarterly number for this is Q2. So the second quarter of this year, we have 3.6 appreciation rate. And so we're not quite on track to get that 16.5 again. We're more closer to the 14.5 with this if you times this by 4. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we are on track this year. So it's just kind of a good outlook on, okay, if we continue this rate, 14% appreciation rate, still a very, almost, you can say healthy, depending on where you're at. If you own a house, it's great. If you're looking to buy a house, it just means that house is going to be more expensive the longer you wait. So we're still seeing growth. We're still seeing 30.6 is typically what someone will see or what a city will see in a year, and we're seeing that in a quarter. So just things to kind of chew on for you to have for your information. If you have any questions, I am always happy to talk more about this stuff. I enjoy going into the data and talking this kind of stuff. And actually, the MLS actually puts out data based on neighborhoods as well. So if you're interested in more information on your specific neighborhood, let me know. Happy to send that over to you or just have a conversation about it as well. Again, I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty. And if you have any questions, my email is ryandieterrealtor@gmail.com. Really easy to get a hold of, or just leave a comment below. Happy to connect and go over anything you may like. All right. Have a great week.